All right, welcome to the first 2024 lap guide for TracksVR. We're kicking off our spring season youth league coming up on Wednesday here. First race of the series, we're going to Goodwood Motor Circuit. Typically, the kind of racing you'll see here is lots of historic racing, vintage cars, Lotus Cortinas, Mini Coopers, classic Grand Prix cars, GT cars, Aston Martin DB4Rs, stuff like that. That's not what we're racing. We are racing in the Tatis FT60. This is a lower level formula car. It's a fairly high speed track, fairly simple to get around. We're starting off easy. You can really lean on the downforce of this car through some of the high speed corners. So we're going to head out to track here. We're starting in the paddock area. Our pit marshal here is going to point the way to the track here. This paddock area does wind around quite a bit, but it's fairly simple to find your way out. Passing this classic Porsche safety car on the way out to track. It's a pretty short throw from the paddock exit onto the track. So watch for oncoming traffic if we're in a public or an open practice session. But as you're out here, if the track is clear, you can make your way over to the left-hand side. Coming around the track here on this first lap, I'm going to point out some key features to help you around get best lap time. All the critical corners in this track have this yellow apex marker with a black X on it. Now this is positioned on the geometric apex of the corners, not necessarily the ideal apex. Most of these corners you're going to want to apex a little bit later than them. Turn 1 is a bit of a double apex. You can go in pretty fast. You start out flat out, lifting off a little bit to hit that first apex. Once you've hit that first apex, you can basically be flat out, really leaning into the downforce of this car to hit the second apex. Rather than hitting it at the sign, I recommend hitting it at the end of the black and white curbing there. Coming flat out into this first straightaway. Sticking to the left-hand side, we have another flat out right-hand kink. There's a marker showing the corners coming up. Here is the second corner. Another late apex, probably again at the end of the black and white curbing. Flat out through that corner. Next corner coming out, up to a small lift. Wouldn't be a bad idea to keep it under control. You can get out flat out if you trust the downforce enough. But another late apex here, because you want to stick to the right, because we've got a left-hand corner, so you will have to brake for immediately afterwards. This corner here, if you brake down to fourth gear, you're for sure going to make it around the corner. If you play your cards right, you can probably even get it in fifth gear. The apex of this corner comes pretty early. I wouldn't apex again at the marker. I would apex maybe a little bit more like here, halfway between that marker and this little marshal stand where they're waving the green or yellow flag, depending on track conditions. A couple dips and undulations as you come around the corner, so your traction may change at full throttle as you're coming around, but fast enough corner that you can lean into the downforce again coming through this corner. You're flat out here. There's a big runoff area, but there is lots of tall grass. If you slide out, you're going to end up in the tall grass. You might have a little bit of a troublesome time finding your way back to the track because it's the grass is taller than your seated position of the car. So try to remember which direction you came from to make your way back to track. This corner here, braking around that 50 sign should do you good. Another late-ish apex. You're late apexing a little bit later than the sign, but not too much. I would go right about here, halfway between that sign and the end of the curbing. You can be flat out once you've hit that apex. Coming out to the curbing, don't use it too much. These cars are quite low, and you will bottom out and scrape your car's undercarriage on the curbing, which will kind of hook you and keep you from returning to the track easily until the curbing ends. So try to avoid getting your outside tires over that curbing, because it will ruin your lap. Flat out of that corner, down this straightaway, you're going to come past a little bit of an airfield here. A couple old planes and DC-3s, looks like some Sopwith Camels parked there. Flat out around this left-hand kink, out apex just after that signboard as per usual. Airplanes on the right, try not to focus on them because we got a corner you got to brake for shortly afterwards. Number signs counting down to the corner. I would brake right after this little paved access road and just before the 50 sign. Probably actually a better marker might even be that Marshall stand right there. Braking alongside that. Down to fourth or third gear. Third gear is a little bit too low of a gear. Fourth gear, is a little bit better suited for this corner. Late apex, you can't see this apex sign at the turn-in point. These flowers on the infield here block the line of sight, so you can't see the apex until after you've entered the corner, but know that it's tucked back here. You can apex right around that sign, maybe just after again, but the sign is actually positioned pretty accurately. You're going to come out to this curbing here. This is probably the tallest curbing on the track. You will for sure bottom out on this if you have some tires over. You can kind of use it a little bit to keep you from running wide. You're probably going to be coming out fourth. You might briefly hit fifth gear coming into the chicane, but you're going to get down to second gear on your way into the chicane. Turn in, get nice and close to this wall on the right. In real life, these walls are styrofoam. They're sort of decorative to replicate what they looked like back in the 60s and 70s, but in the sim here, they are solid. They will ruin your car if you hit them, so do not hit these walls. They're right at the track limit, so be careful with them. As you come back around, you're going to get a nice late apex coming out of the chicane. You're going to be full throttle here. The curbing here is a little bit more flat, so you can use it a little bit. If you do get a couple tires over, there's a little bit of AstroTurf to kind of keep you from going too wide. Flat out onto the front straightaway. Pretty short pit lane, as you can see here. We'll go over the pit lane in a minute here. We're going to do a lap at speed here. We're coming from a bit of a slow out lap, so it's not going to be the best flying lap, but show you at speed coming into turn one, flat out, and we in a small lift to get that apex that I missed, and then a second apex. You should be flat out all the way through there after that lift off to get to the first apex. Flat out down the straightaway. Watch for that marker. You're going to apex just after that marker. Back to the left. Nice and fast into this corner, modulating your throttle if you need to keep the car in order, and then braking down to fifth or fourth gear. I'm going to do it fourth just to play it safe. Full throttle once you've hit that apex, all the way back around here. Back to the left-hand side, braking right after that marker before the 50 sign. Another late apex, bringing your car out to the curbing on the left, full throttle into the back straightaway. You're full throttle around the next left-hand kink. Lots of gentle bends in this corner, nice and easy to read. Coming up to the penultimate corner, you're going to stick to the left-hand side. Watch for that access road and the 50 sign, braking right between the two, down to fourth or third gear for this corner, apexing right at that marker, to the curbing on the left, down to second gear into the chicane, hugging that wall nice and close, back on the throttle onto the front straightaway, coming across the line. A good lap time around here is 110. I imagine some of the faster drivers might even dip to the sub 110 lap times, 109s. So in the Youth League races, there is a mandatory pit stop. As I mentioned just at the start of the flying lap there is a pretty short pit lane on this track. It's right after the chicane at the end of your lap. So you're going to do your usual line through the chicane. But when you head to the right, you're going to stick to that right-hand side. You can see the pit entry line right there. Dotted line, braking hard coming out of there. You want to enable your pit limiter just as you're crossing that threshold between the wall and the track there. Narrow pit lane, very short. You might have to tuck in pretty aggressively between some of your competitors there into your pit stall. Now on your way back onto track, there's not much of a blend line. However, the cars on their flying lap should be on the opposite side of the track, so they should be pretty safe. I don't want anyone to be crossing this solid white line on their pit exit. You will get a penalty for crossing a solid line. You'll have to wait till the dotted line to enter the track. Enter the track, but before you go all the way over to the racing line, make sure you check your mirrors. Watch for cars approaching on the racing line. Once you know it's clear, you can be making your way back across to the racing line to start your out lap. You will be at quite a bit of a speed differential to cars approaching because on a flying lap, so be mindful of that, please. We don't want any incidents in cars and exiting the pits and cars that are not pitting, of course. So that brings us to the end of our first lap guide. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're excited for Youth League, drop a comment in the comment section below. If you haven't registered already, please register. We're starting this Wednesday. The 6 weekly races, practice sessions, qualifying, and races every week. If you're not part of the Youth League, but you would like to try this Goodwood circuit, we do have it set up on all our computers at the venue. If you want a recommendation, I would definitely recommend something like a Lotus Cortina or Mini Cooper would be a fun car on this track. We have some classic Trans Am muscle cars or vintage Formula cars. Would be a very good fit if you're wanting something different than our usual content that we race at TracksVR. So Hope to see you soon, and we will see you in next week's lap guide video.